In our last class, we were trying to talk about the analysis of finite slopes, in which towards the end of the discussion, we have talked about what are the different steps that are to be followed in the analysis of finite slope. Particularly, the case what we have been referring to is your Swedish circle method. Okay. So it may not be only the Swedish circle method, the other methods also, you'll have similar kind of steps that we are going to be following. Okay. So there could be small variation in the steps towards the end. Okay. Some methods more advanced or relatively more accurate methods. Okay. So in which you'll have iterations for factor of safety also again. But here we are considering the complete soil mass to be acting like a single unit, whichever is expected to undergo the failure. So all the complete soil mass will act like a single block and it will be getting slided about the center of an arc. And for that, we have seen in the last class how to analyze that particular slope, analyze the particular slope in the sense how to determine the factor of safety of that so-called critical failure surface, whatever is expected to be getting developed for that given slope. Okay. And according to your friction circle method or your Swedish circle method, we went on to understand how to calculate the factor of safety of the given slope. Okay. So if the soil is a C5 soil, or if the soil is here only containing the cohesion. As the other third case, that is soil purely containing your angle of shearing distance, so that funda would not arise, because in case if the soil what we are trying to talk about is purely cohesionless. Okay, so soil containing only 5 parameters where C value is equal to 0, with such kind of soil it is not possible or it's not so comfortable in constructing your embankment or maybe an earthen dam or something. Okay, so that's the reason why we don't talk about the third case. So what in general, whenever we talk about the construction of these slopes, man-made slopes, engineered slopes, when we talk about, so mostly what we'll be looking at is purely clayey type of soil deposit, which is used in the construction of such slopes. Okay, but however, in some cases, if both C and phi parameters if do exist for the soil, in such case also, we know how to estimate the factor of safety of that particular slope. That's what it means. Now, let's quickly go on to understand something more than what we have talked about. So, in continuation to this fundamental concepts what we have talked about, I'll just try to introduce to what is called as stability number, okay, which is given by Taylor, which we call it as Taylor stability number. So based on the Taylor stability number, we'll try to quickly understand how to determine your or how to find out what could be the critical height of your finite slope, or how to determine the unknown parameters of that particular slope, whether that particular slope is safe or unsafe, if at all if it is safe, how much could be the factor of safety, or if at all I say the slope what I want to provide is this much for this so and so soil properties of C and phi. If I want to maintain what should be the, if I want to have a factor of safety of something, let's say 1.5 or 2 or 2.5, how much should be the height of that particular slope I should be providing? Or if I decide upon this much height, if I want to provide for that particular slope, for that C5 parameters of the soil, and for that beta angle at which the slope of that finite, the angle at which the finite slope is existing. So what could be the factor of safety? So either of the ways you can try to understand to find out those unknown things, okay, which is basically on the basis of what is called as Taylor's stability number, and subsequently we have what is called as Taylor's stability charts, okay, where Taylor, based on the stability number what he has calculated, he went on to represent what is called as charts, standard charts, from which you can find out those unknowns what we are trying to talk about. So if you can quickly understand this particular expression, that is factor of safety what we have indicated. So considering the soil to be both C and phi soil, let's represent some terms here. Let's say this particular slope what I am trying to represent is at an inclination alpha. The failure surface is getting developed if I just simply draw a tangent like this, so this angle, what I am considering is an alpha. Or in simple terms, I'll just try to join a line between point A to point B. It's a straight line. So that angle sometimes is what is represented as alpha. And where is your beta is nothing but the angle at which the slope of that ground is existing. Okay. Now, when I go on to understand for the critical condition, what does that critical condition means? So critical condition, if we start referring to, so in the case of critical condition, that is just at the verge of the failure. Your slope, what you are looking at, is just at the verge of the failure. So when your slope is just at the verge of failure, the factor of safety, what we consider, is nothing but it is simply equal to 1. For considered factor of safety of equal to 1, the corresponding height of that finite slope, what you are going to be providing, is said to be your critical height of that finite slope. Slightly anything higher than that slope, anything higher than that particular height, if you want to provide for that slope, so your slope is surely undergoing the failure. So if you can quickly get back your expression for factor of safety, what we have represented earlier. So factor of safety is nothing but, let me C into theta into r square. See, I am writing in terms of C and phi, considering C5 parameters of the soil. In case if you are talking in terms of your effective shear strength parameters, then those parameters will be represented as C dash and phi dash. So don't get confused whether we are writing it as C and phi, whether we are writing it as C and phi dash. So it totally depends on whether you are talking with reference to that of your total stress analysis in estimating the factor of safety, or your effective stress analysis in estimating your factor of safety. Sometimes you will not be even seeing this expression represented as W into X bar. You would be seeing the expression represented in some other way, where the weight is resolved into components. One component of the weight normal to your failure surface, other component of the weight tangential to your failure surface, and that tangential component of the weight is responsible for causing the failure in the soil. The component normal to the failure surface, the weight component which is said to be normal to your failure surface, that is n component. N is what we write it as. The line of action of this n, if you look at, that coincides with the point O. Whenever the line of action of the force coincides with the point O, that normal force component will not cause any failure in the soil. Ultimately, what is that particular force component which is responsible for causing the failure in the soil means? It is a tangential force component. Now, what becomes your tangential force component according to what we have been talking earlier? So my tangential force component is nothing but W into sine alpha, if you can recall what we have talked earlier. So the W sine alpha component is a component which is responsible for driving the soil mass in the downward direction. So always you may not be seeing in the denominator while writing the factor of safety, you may not be seeing every time that is nothing but W into X bar always represented. Sometimes the expression for factor of safety, you might also see indicated with the denominator, that is nothing but W into X bar, can also be simply represented as W sine alpha into perpendicular distance. How much is the perpendicular distance about point O with respect to the line of action of your tangential force component? This line of action of tangential force component is parallel to your slip surface. So from the line of action of the tangential force component, your point O is radially at a perpendicular distance of R. So either I can write it as W into X bar, or I can write in terms of W into sine alpha into R. If I write it as W into sine alpha into R, in the numerator you have R common, in the denominator you have R common, R get cancelled. So another simplified expression you can write it. So please do not worry how the expressions are represented. Understand the logic behind how those expressions are represented, and you can go on to play with those set of expressions according to your own way of writing them, ultimately to calculate your factor of safety. Okay. Yeah. So let me quickly come here to understand the expression C into theta into R square plus N into tan phi into R divided by W into X bar. And if I just want to understand the factor of safety under the critical condition, F is equal, the factor of safety is equal to 1 if this value is considered to be equal to 1. and this n component and subsequently all other components, if I just go on to rewrite them in terms of your other parameters, what we generally see is that your cohesion, okay, so in the rewritten expressions according to your alpha parameter, that is your angle at which the failure surface is existing, your beta parameter, that is your slope of your angle, all those parameters if we are trying to look at, so we are going to ultimately be getting some expression like this. Your cohesion for a critical factor of safety of equal to 1, there where h is nothing but it is equal to h critical, your c value is what I can write it as gamma into h critical into some other terms we will be having, where those other terms would be in terms of the function like alpha parameter, beta parameter, and what we call it as your theta. What does theta means? It is the angle what is getting subtended at the center of your center position, which is defining the failure surface. Okay, and it also depends on your angle of shearing resistance of that particular soil. So this, to further rewrite it, this can be represented as c by gamma into h critical is basically going to be a function of alpha, beta, theta, and phi. See, what is that I am trying to understand here? Your so-called slope, whatever you are trying to look at, the factor of safety or the condition of the slope, will it depend on your alpha angle? Alpha angle in the sense at what inclination your failure surface is existing? Yes, it do depends on. Will it depend on your beta angle? That is nothing but the angle at which your slope of the ground is existing? Yes, it do depend. Will it depend on your theta angle? Theta is nothing but the angle that is getting formed with respect to the center, which is defining the failure surface, the angle what is getting formed there. So yes, that theta angle also will define the corresponding factor of safety of that particular slope. And yes, obviously the phi angle also going to define your angle of your stability of that particular slope. Apart from that, your cohesion, angle of shearing resistance, your height of that slope, all these parameters will play a role in deciding and dictating whether that particular slope is safe or whether that slope is unsafe. Is it stable or unstable? Now, if you just try to look at this particular ratio of C by gamma into H critical in terms of effective stress, if we are representing, these parameters are nothing but C dash and phi dash. In terms of total stresses, we'll be representing it as C and phi. Okay, it doesn't matter. So this ratio of C by gamma into H critical, okay, so this ratio of C or C dash by gamma into H critical is what is represented as small m. Okay, so this small m is nothing but we call it as Taylor's stability number, where this m is given as the ratio of C or C dash by gamma into H critical. Okay, so what Taylor has done is for different values of phi, for different angles at which your slope of the ground is existing, and for corresponding different factor of safeties, so he went on to develop different standard charts. Okay, so we'll quickly understand what are those different standard charts what Taylor has given. So by making use of those charts which are given by Taylor, how do we go on to find out your unknown things regarding that particular slope? If you want to have a factor of safety of so and so to be maintained for that slope, what shall be the height that you can go on to construct for that particular slope, or what should be the slope that you should be providing, or what should be the angle that you should be providing for that finite slope? So all that we'll try to understand based on that Taylor's charts. Okay, so let's quickly understand some of those Taylor charts what we find in our textbooks or in the literature. So let's say he gave some chart like this, where it's a graph what is plotted between slope angle, which is nothing but we represent it as beta in terms of degrees. This beta angle what we are representing is going to be in degrees on the horizontal axis. And on the vertical axis, it is your stability number, Taylor stability number. So he gave some curves like this, some set of curves like this. And each of the curve, what we see here, are applicable for different phi angles. Let's say this curve might be for some phi angle, this curve is for some other phi angle, and so on. Let's say for phi angle of that particular soil 10 degrees, maybe 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 25 degrees, and so on. For different phi angles, he went on to give different standard charts. Now, what is my M value? M is nothing but C dash by gamma into H critical. Okay. Now, if I say that I want to provide a slope angle of something 15 degrees for that slope which I want to construct. Okay. So for beta is equal to 15 degrees, I'll see. I repeat, for beta is equal to 15 degrees, I'll see. If I say the phi value of that particular soil is something 15 degrees, I repeat, the phi value of the soil is something 15 degrees. Beta, what I wanted to maintain is 15 degrees. The phi value of that respective soil is something 15 degrees. Okay, so for this beta 15 degrees, let me extend this point onto the curve corresponding to the phi value 15 degrees. And let me extend this point onto the vertical axis. Now, what is it going to give me? It is going to give me some Taylor stability number. Now, from that Taylor stability number, once I know M value, once the M is known, so what is this M equal to? M is nothing but C dash by gamma into H critical. And if I know the geotechnical properties of that particular soil, that means your C dash value is known for that particular soil and the unit weight of the soil is known to me, then I can go on to understand what can be the critical height that you can provide, what can be the maximum height that you can provide for that particular slope, just to ensure that your slope is going to be stable. Just at the verge of failure, how much could be the maximum height that you can go on to provide for that particular slope? Okay, so that is what I can understand. In similar way, he gave some other set of curves. Okay, so we would find some other set of curves like this, where these curves are plotted between the data, that is phi dash on horizontal axis, and Taylor stability number represented on the vertical axis, that is nothing but the ratio of C dash by gamma into H. Here I am not calling it as H critical. Understand the difference. Earlier we were trying to talk it as H critical because these set of curves what we are seeing here are for factor of safety which is equal to 1. Just at the verge of failure, what could be the maximum height of that particular slope that I can provide? If I want to understand, I can get it from this particular chart. But if I want to know for different factor of safety that I want to maintain, what could be the height that I can go on to provide? So that we can understand from this typically different charts what are given by Taylor. So where you have some curves like this or whatever are given by Taylor. So don't blindly assume shape of the curve has to be like that. Roughly I am indicating them. So let's say these curves what are indicated are for different factor of safeties. Let's say this curve is for a factor of safety of 1.3. This is for a factor of safety of 1.4. This is for a factor of safety of let's say 1.5. This is for a factor of safety of 1.6. And likewise, you have different curves existing in that particular chart. And if you look at this chart, what he has given could be for some particular beta angle. Okay, let's say for a beta angle of something 5 degrees. Likewise, for some other beta angle, let's say maybe for 10 degrees, or maybe for some other beta angle, he went on to give different standard charts like this. Okay, let's say for beta angle of 10 degrees, you have another standard chart that is for phi dash and M value indicated. You will be having a pattern of curves like this. Okay, where this could be for some factor of safety, let's say something 1.8, 1.7, 1.6, 1.5. Likewise, you might have different standard charts which are given for different beta values. Okay, so this curve or this chart, what is there is for some particular beta angle, whereas this is for some other beta angle. So if I want to provide the slope angle to be 5 degrees, if the angle of that slope what I want to provide is 5 degrees, where the C5 parameters of the soil are known to me, and unit weight, that's geotechnical properties of the soil is known, and the geometry in the sense the beta angle is known to me, the slope angle is known to me. So then in such case, how do I go on to understand what can be the height of that particular finite slope that I can construct for different factor of safeties that I wanted to maintain? Okay, so if I want to maintain a factor of safety of 1.5, or maybe a factor of safety of 2, or for a factor of safety of 2.5, or 1.3, or 1.4, or 1.7, whatever factor of safety you want to maintain for that particular slope, for that particular factor of safety, how much could be the height of that particular slope you can construct? To what maximum height you can go on to construct that particular slope to get a corresponding factor of safety of so and so. That is what we are going to be getting from this standard charts. Okay, so if beta, C dash, phi dash, and gamma values are known, for providing factor of safety of required value, what shall be the height of finite slope that can be constructed? So that is what I can understand from this particular standard chart. Or if at all the parameters like beta value is known, height of the slope is known, C value of the soil is known, phi value of the soil is known, unit weight of the soil is known, then I can go on to understand the other one. What is the other one that I can go on to calculate? If phi dash value on the horizontal axis is known, and if I say that that particular set of standard chart is given for beta of so and so, then on the vertical axis it is a ratio of C by gamma into H. So C value is known, gamma value is known, H height of the embankment or your slope what you wanted to construct is known. So then what I can do is, for that corresponding beta angle, what is the chart that is there? I'll look at it. I'll go to that particular chart, and for what is the phi value of that soil, and for that Taylor's number which I'll be getting from the ratio of C dash by gamma into H. So for that corresponding, okay, I'll say the intersection of those points is somewhere here, where this point might be falling on some curve like this, which could have a factor of safety of somewhere in between 1.4 to 1.5. Let's say it is something 1.44 or 1.45 from interpolation I'll be getting. And I'll say that if that particular slope which is constructed with a beta angle of something so and so, where the corresponding C5 parameters of the soil is so and so, unit weight of the soil is so and so, and the height of that finite slope what you are constructing is something this much, then the corresponding factor of safety what you will have for your slope is what I am getting it as something 1.44 or 1.45 or something like that. So that's how your standard charts are going to be helpful for us in order to understand whether that particular slope what you are looking at is stable or unstable, or if it is stable, what could be the factor of safety of that slope. If it is unstable, then how to make it stable to ensure that slope is not undergoing any failure. So based on your Taylor standard charts, we can go on to analyze that particular slope in understanding the stability aspect of that particular slope. So if the slope is unstable, then how to make it stable? So by increasing your slope angle, or by decreasing your slope angle, or by decreasing the height, or by increasing the height, or if I want to go by the same slope angle and same height, but how to get your required factor of safety? By modifying the properties of the soil. So all that we can go on to understand by making use of those standard charts. And one important thing is, these particular standard charts what you are referring to are for these standard charts whatever are given by Taylor's are not taking into consideration of your pore water pressure. Okay, so charts are for no pore water pressure in soil. So in case if there is no pore water pressure existing in that soil, then only these standard charts can be made use. which are given by Taylor. In case if the pore water pressure is existing, so the standard charts which are given by Taylor are not going to be relatively very effective in understanding the stability of your slopes. So do we have only the Taylor charts for analyzing the given slopes? No, means no. We have got different other charts also available in the literature, which are given by Spencer, which are given by Morgenstern, which are given by Janbu. Okay, so we have different people who went on to develop their own theories for estimating or for analyzing the given slopes. Based on those theories, they went on to develop some standard charts. So one can make use of those different standard charts for analyzing the given slope. So which standard charts are to be used means it totally depends on the accuracy of the analysis what you are carrying out. So in some analysis, they would consider only what is called as your interslice forces. So where we are going to talk about the complete failure surface, we'll try to divide into some number of slices or elements. And we go on to analyze the effect of each slice on your slope stability. And when we are going to analyze the factor of safety, or when we are going to understand the condition of the slope, looking at each of the slice of the complete failure surface. So each slice will have some force being exerted by its adjacent slices on that particular slice. So if those interslice forces are considered, then your approach for calculating the factor of safety would be different. And if you are not considering them, the approach would be something slightly different. So that's how, depending on how you are calculating your factor of safety, or depending on what is the approach that you are adopting for analyzing that particular slope, you can ensure to say that your the analysis is relatively accurate based on this approach or this approach or this approach. But however, you will find n number of approaches available in the literature, different types of methods that are relatively available in the literature. But as of this course is concerned, we are going to be sticking only to some of those methods which are said to be some fundamental methods by which you can analyze your slopes. But in literature, you will be finding various other methods by which you will be analyzing your finite slope, like Morgenstern method, Janbu's method, Spencer's method. Okay, so various other methods are there, which we will not be covering as of the course is concerned. But however, we'll just try to have an idea of some of those other methods, like which we call it as method of slices, which is otherwise also called as Fellinius method. And apart from that method of slices, we'll also be talking about what is called as ordinary Bishop's method or simplified Bishop's method. Okay, there is another method which is given by Bishop, which is called as rigorous Bishop's method. Okay, so those all methods are going to be relatively complicated approaches in terms of manually analyzing the slope, because the expressions are relatively very big, and within that expression itself you will have iterations for factor of safety, iterations for soil parameters, and so on. So only for the iteration corresponding to understanding where is the trial failure surface itself, we need to spend more time in manual calculation. Now if iterations are there within your expression, then it is very difficult for analyzing the given slope manually. So that's the reason these advanced approaches or advanced methods what we come across, advanced models that we come across, are ultimately given as an inbuilt approach in your analysis softwares. Okay, so based on that so and so method, if I want to analyze my slope, I can choose that particular method from the drop down list in that software, and I can go on to analyze that particular slope based on that particular method. So based on this method, how much is the factor of safety I'll get for that slope? Based on some other method, how much is the factor of safety that I'll get? And accordingly, we can go on to understand. In the earlier discussion, when we were trying to talk about your Swedish circle method, there we said case 1. In case 1, we were saying that there is no tension crack what is getting developed in the ground. Developed in the ground in the sense, in that sloping soil, there is no tension crack what is getting developed. What do I mean by tension crack? So let's quickly understand something about what is called as tension crack. So what is meant by tension crack? The word itself says because of the tensile stresses what are getting developed in the soil, there is a crack what is getting developed in the ground. Okay. So we know that soil is very weak in taking the tensile forces onto it. Whenever the soil, let's say for example, I have some soil sample, and if you apply some tensile force on that soil sample, what do you see? Particles easily get separated from each other. Okay, so soil is said to be relatively very weak in taking the tensile forces. So in such condition, whenever you see some tensile forces are getting developed in the soil, you would come across with the situation that a crack formation gets developed in the soil. Because if you take some soil sample and if you start applying the tensile force on that soil sample, you would see the piece of the soil getting separated. So that separation is what we call it as crack. Okay, so that separation in the soil mass is what is indicated as crack. Okay, so technically this so-called tension crack concept regarding the tension crack, to what depth this so-called crack formation gets developed in the ground and so on, we'll be trying to understand more in detail in the concept of earth pressure. Okay, so when in the concept of earth pressure, after introducing your different types of earth pressure like active earth pressure, passive earth pressure, at rest earth pressure, so there I'll try to introduce this so-called tension crack once again, and there we'll try to derive the expression for what shall be the depth to which your tension crack will be getting developed. So to what depth in a particular soil from the ground, to what depth the crack formation gets developed in the ground. Okay, so here for now we are going to be writing down that directly. Let's say if this is my slope, what I am trying to look at. Typically, how do we analyze your failure surface? Okay, this is how we are saying that the failure surface would be getting developed, and we understand that this particular failure surface is starting from the toe. If at all it is a toe failure, so starting from the toe, and the failure surface is getting extended till your ground. Okay, but sometimes because of a crack which has already developed in the ground, if this is a crack, it's an opening already there in the ground, your failure surface, whatever you are trying to talk about, will not be getting developed till the ground. Rather, it will be getting developed only till here, because above that already there is a failure. There is a separation in the ground. Crack which has already developed, which indicates the failure in that particular region of the soil. Only subsequent failure what would be getting developed in the remaining portion of that particular slope along that failure surface. Now, whenever there is a tension crack formation, what is going to happen in terms of the total force getting resisted along the failure surface? Because what could happen regarding the factor of safety because of your tension crack? Because of the effect of tension crack, the length of the failure surface what is getting developed is decreasing. Once the length of the failure surface what is getting developed is decreasing, then total forces that gets resisted along the length of the failure surface, along that slip surface, total amount of force that gets resisted also gets decreased. Why is it getting decreased? Because in some portion of the soil, already separation of soil mass took place, which indicates the failure in the soil. So if you do not see the failure surface beyond further getting extended, so within that region, there is no portion of the soil which can offer you the resistance against failure, because that portion of the soil has already undergone the failure. The portion of the soil which is existing till some depth to which you had your crack formed in the ground. Okay, so the depth to which this particular crack got formed into the ground is what we are calling it as depth of tension crack. Okay, so dt indicates what is called as depth of tension crack. So because of the tensile forces what are getting developed in the ground, okay, you are going to be seeing a crack formation happening from the surface of the ground till some depth into the ground. Even on the ground, whenever you walk across, you would be seeing some cracks forming, crack getting extended into the deeper layers of the ground. So why is that crack got formed into the deeper layers of the ground? Because the soil in that portion of the region was subjected to what is called as the tensile nature of stresses, and because of that tensile nature of stresses, the crack formation has happened in the soil. Okay, so regarding this so-called tension crack, to what depth that so-called tension crack would be getting developed, how do we derive it, that expression for dt, that's the depth of tension crack, how do we derive it and all, we'll learn in our next course, that is foundation engineering course. Okay, but however here I am directly giving the expression for your depth of tension crack. So your depth of tension crack is nothing but it is equal to half of your maximum height to which you can make your vertical cut in the ground. Depth of tension crack is what we'll be getting it as half of the maximum height to which you can make a vertical cut into your ground. Okay. So what was a maximum depth to which you can make your vertical cut in the ground expression? It was nothing but 4c by gamma into under root Ka. Under root Ka term also I have introduced, saying that always you may not have the soil which is said to be purely cohesive. You might also sometimes come across with the soil which is said to be C5 soil. So in such case of C5 soil, we went on to understand that your critical depth to which you can make an open pit excavation is nothing but 4c by gamma into under root Ka. And your depth of tension crack is half of this value, so which I am directly writing for now as 2c by gamma into under root Ka. So if I know the C5 values of that particular soil and if I know the unit weight of the soil, then Ka is nothing but 1 minus sine phi by 1 plus sine phi. C value is the cohesion value of the soil. Gamma indicates the unit weight of the soil. So if C, phi and gamma values of the soil are known, then I can go on to estimate the depth to which your tension crack is getting developed inside the ground. Once the depth to which your tension crack is getting developed inside the ground, then I can go on to understand how the factor of safety of that particular slope is getting changed because of that tension crack. So what happens because of the tension crack? Factor of safety of the slope obviously decreases because of the tension crack. So because of that particular tension crack, what is getting developed in the ground, your more likely chances of failure surface would be getting developed towards your crack portion only, because crack portion indicates the failure. So towards that side itself, you will have your least resistance in the soil, and obvious that if at all failure happens, failure surface would be getting developed towards your crack formation, because crack already indicates the kind of a failure which has happened in your ground. Okay. So in such case, if there is a tension crack existing, then how do we estimate your factor of safety of that particular slope? Okay, what difference we come across with in estimating your factor of safety of the slope? Look at here. So if at all there is a tension crack getting formed inside the ground, okay, this is your tension crack, what we are trying to talk about. Okay, what is the depth to which your tension crack is getting developed? It's nothing but 2c by gamma into under root Ka. This is the expression what I have already represented earlier. So that is ht or dt, whatever you represent, it doesn't matter. It is indicating you what is called as depth of tension crack. So which is nothing but 2c by gamma into under root Ka. Okay. So now if you look at here, earlier the failure surface was getting developed till the natural ground, but because of the tension crack, the failure surface is getting stopped only till here. Beyond this, you cannot see any more further failure surface getting developed, because already the soil in that region has failed. Now what is going to happen? Earlier, the angle what was getting subtended at the center of your arc of the circle was theta. Okay, that angle between these two lines, what are those two lines? OA line and OB line. So the angle earlier, when there was no tension crack, the angle of failure surface was getting formed between OA line and OB line, and that angle was theta angle. But now because of that tension crack which developed in the ground, what you have seen is the failure surface is getting developed only till here. There is no further extension of your failure surface because already that region of the soil has failed. Then if I represent this end of the failure surface with your OC line, okay, what is the angle that is subtended there between OA line and OC line now? Let's say it is something theta 2. Now, as theta 2 is less than theta, if you can go back to the expressions of what we have talked about regarding the factor of safety, the angle subtended between those two lines defining the failure surface region, arc of the circle, okay, so if that angle subtended at the center, if it is decreasing, then automatically the total force resisting the failure is decreasing because the arc length is decreasing. If the arc length is decreasing, total force getting resisted along that arc length is decreasing, and automatically the factor of safety of the slope is also decreasing. Earlier, what was our expression for factor of safety? Earlier, our expression for factor of safety, if I consider purely cohesive soil, that is nothing but for soil which has got phi value to be equal to 0. Our earlier expression for factor of safety was C into theta into R square by W into X or W into X bar. That was our expression. Now, once your theta angle is now represented as theta 2, what is going to be happening? The amount of factor of safety, because if theta is replaced by theta 2, automatically the theta 2 value is less than that of theta. Okay, as it is indicated here. As theta 2 is less than that of theta, then factor of safety what we are going to be getting is going to be less than that of the factor of safety what we have got earlier, because the length of the arc of the circle is decreasing. As the length of the arc of the circle is decreasing, then the force that gets resisted along that decreased length of the arc of the circle would give you a lesser factor of safety. Okay. So the procedure, how do we calculate? Everything is same. The procedure, everything is same, but the angle that is getting subtended at the center of the arc of the circle, so that angle what is getting subtended is decreasing because the failure surface is not further going beyond that region of what is called as your depth of tension crack. So because of which the factor of safety of that particular slope has come down. And one thing what we need to understand here is there is a tension crack which got developed, but there is no water which is getting filled into that crack which got developed. That crack is still in a dry state. In such case, the factor of safety of that particular slope is coming out to be this much for purely cohesive soil. In case if it is a C5 soil, then I'll have your other term also in the numerator. What is going to be my other term in the numerator? So my other term, what I'll be looking at in my numerator is your n into tan phi dash into r. That term also will be coming additionally in your numerator. So now, in case if the water is getting filled into that particular crack, what got formed? If at all water is getting filled into that crack, let's say it is a rainy season. When there is a rainy season, it is obvious that because of the runoff water or because of the water droplets during the rain, which went on to go and occupy the space what you had in that crack. Crack is an empty space. It's an indication of an empty space. If water goes and accumulates into that crack region, what is going to happen? Will the factor of safety of the slope further decrease? Yes. Why? Because whatever the water that is getting accumulated into that crack will certainly exert some pressure on the slope again. The portion of the soil which is still existing there. So the water which is getting accumulated into that crack region will exert some pressure on the adjacent soil. So pressure exerted by the water which got collected in your crack till that depth. So let's say if that is some pressure acting on the adjacent soil, so that resultant water force would generate an additional moment about your point O, which would cause the sliding in the soil. Earlier, the moment which is causing the sliding in the soil is your weight or the weight component only. But now because of your water force which got filled in your crack region over the depth of your tension crack, so that water force additionally exerts some pressure on the soil which is adjacent to that crack. Okay, so that force, what is additionally pushing your soil in the downward direction, is further decreasing your factor of safety of that particular soil. Okay, so where do I come across with the difference in what I am trying to talk about? So in the denominator of your expression for factor of safety, the moment which is driving or disturbing your failure, how much is that moment which is, or otherwise I can call it as your disturbing moment or the driving moment. How much is that moment which is trying to drive the soil in the downward direction? So that moment is additionally increasing because of the additional force which is coming in due to the water which got accumulated in your crack region. Okay, let's quickly understand what is that I am referring to. Okay, so once I have, so another case what I am looking at, tension crack filled with water. So whenever your tension crack is getting filled with water, look at here, this color indication indicates that water got accumulated into that particular tension crack. So because of that water which got accumulated into the tension crack, if I go on to understand how your pore water pressure is getting varied with the depth, over the depth of that tension crack. So how does the pore water pressure varies with the depth of the tension crack? If I want to plot, okay, let's say this is my ground. And in that ground, if the tension crack is getting developed to some depth like this depth is what I am calling it as HT or DT. Doesn't matter how you represent. Okay, so in this portion of the crack region, water got accumulated. So I just want to understand how much is the pressure being exerted by your water on the adjacent soil. So if I want to know that, I'll just try to plot how your pore water pressure is varying with the depth. So what would happen regarding the pore water pressure? So pore water pressure obviously increases with the depth here. So what will be the maximum pore water pressure that will be getting developed? That is at the bottom of your tension crack region. So maximum pore water pressure is nothing but unit weight of water into HT. So at that particular depth, how much is the pore water pressure? Is nothing but it is gamma W into HT. And this pore water pressure distribution, if I just try to convert it into the form of what is called as a resultant force, it's a pressure distribution that I am trying to convert it into what is called as your resultant force. So how do I calculate the resultant force? So resultant force is nothing but area of that pressure distribution diagram. I repeat, it's nothing but area of the pressure distribution diagram for every 1 unit width in this direction. Okay, and where do we represent that resultant force? Resultant force is going to be represented at the CG position. If I say this is my depth of the tension crack, where do I represent that resultant force because of the water accumulated in the tension crack? So the resultant force is going to be indicated at the CG position of this pressure distribution diagram. So pressure distribution diagram is a linear variation, so which looks like a triangle. Okay, so where does the CG of the triangle would exist? From the right angle position, it would exist at a distance of 1/3 of the height of that tension crack, or from the top, it exists at a depth of 2/3 of the height of your tension crack. Okay, so that resultant force due to the water is what we are writing it as PW. Now, what is this PW value equal to? If you look at here, PW value is nothing but the area of that pressure distribution diagram. So area is nothing but half into height of that crack is HT into what is the maximum base value of that triangle. So it is gamma W into HT. So we are getting your resultant force because of that water which got accumulated into that crack region, which is additionally causing a driving moment in your soil, which is additionally driving the soil in the downward direction to initiate the failure. Okay, so this is your resultant force exerted due to the water which got collected in that crack. Now, once I know the force, that force, so-called PW force, how much additional moment is it generating to cause the driving in the soil. So additional moment, what is it generating to cause the driving in the soil? Already W into X or W into X bar was the moment what you have talked about, which you called it as your driving moment because of the weight or weight component of the soil. That driving moment is coming into picture. Now, because of your resultant force of water which got accumulated into your tension crack region, so there is an additional moment what is getting generated about your point O, which is trying to cause the rotation in your slope, which is trying to induce the failure in your slope. Okay. So that force is PW. The line of action of that PW force is like this. Okay. So what is the perpendicular distance from the line of action of the force to your point O? So that perpendicular distance from the line of action of your PW force to your point O. So that perpendicular distance is something. Okay. Let's say this is some small h. And whereas this distance, the remaining distance is nothing but 2/3 of your height of the tension crack, 2/3 of HT. So PW into perpendicular distance is H plus 2/3 of HT. So which gives me that additional moment what is getting developed about point O, which is responsible for causing the driving in your soil, which in turn decreasing your factor of safety of your soil. If you look at the expression, so still this expression what we are writing is for purely cohesive soil. In case if I want to write down how my expression for factor of safety is going to be for C5 soil, let me quickly write it. So for C5 soil, if I am looking at my expression for factor of safety, so expression for factor of safety comes out to be C into theta 2 into R square plus N into tan phi into R, this total divided by W into X or W into X bar, the way how you write it doesn't matter, plus half into gamma W into HT square. This is your force into the corresponding perpendicular distance. This into H plus 2/3 of your HT. Okay, so this all inside the bracket. Okay, that's how you are going to have your expression for factor of safety. In case if that particular soil is said to be a C5 soil, in which you had your tension crack, where that region of the tension crack is getting filled with water. Okay, so what is that we have understood is 3 different cases. When there is no tension crack, the failure surface was subsequently getting developed till the ground. So automatically, as the failure surface was assumed to be getting developed till the ground, the amount of resistance along that failure surface was also relatively high. So factor of safety was relatively higher. When there is a tension crack, what was getting developed? Then as the length of the failure surface is decreasing, then your resistance along that decreased failure surface is also getting decreased, and obvious that the factor of safety is decreasing. And now what has happened additionally, in that portion of the tension crack region, if the water is getting accumulated, that water which got accumulated into the depth of the tension crack is additionally developing some more force, which is trying to drive the soil in the downward direction, which is in turn inducing the failure in the soil. Additionally, it is trying to generate some moment which is driving the soil in the downward direction, because of which the denominator value is increasing. Hence, the denominator value increases, automatically the factor of safety further decreasing. Okay, so the factor of safety decreases further with the tension crack when it is filled with water. Okay. So those are some of those different cases what we generally encounter. But however, regarding this tension crack, till what depth this tension crack would develop, why does this tension cracks are getting developed, mathematically and conceptually, we'll be understanding in our foundation engineering course under the topic that is earth pressures. Okay,